we were standing in the basement after he got an accepted offer, and he said, "Excuse me, Miss Lori, I have one question. Who is Ernest, and why does he get my money?"
My name is Kevin McIntosh, and this is The Closing Table, where we talk to experts about their experience in real estate all across the country. Let's go. Welcome back to The Closing Table. I am your host, Kevin C. McIntosh. How you doing? And joining us on this episode, already excited to speak to her. Sounds like a great person. Top producing real estate professional in her market. We want to welcome Lori Schilling to The Closing Table. How are you, Lori?
I'm awesome, Kevin. Thanks for having me today. I'm excited. My favorite part of the day is sitting at the closing table. So I hope you have checks for me at the end.
Something like that. Maybe not monetarily, but everybody benefits. But yes, great, Lori. Thank you for taking time out of your very busy schedule and accepting our invitation to be a guest. We always like to be serious about that part. So let's start off by separating the person from the profession. And in 60 seconds or less, we would like for you to tell us, what do you like to do or who you are outside of real estate, please?
Well, I appreciate that question. So I am kind of born and raised in Madison. I've been here a good majority of my life. My husband, Nick, and our dog, Jade, we have an Australian Shepherd that we adore. We live on Lake Kegonsa, and so we adore all things like life, boating, swimming, water skiing, even ice skating in the winter. And when it does get cold temps here, I love to travel. In fact, I have a very lovely trip happening here this week after Thanksgiving. We are headed to the Dominican Republic, spend a little time on the beach and up my Spanish lessons and spend some time with friends and family and just regroup for the new year.
I feel like I want to be in your family. That sounds exciting. I want to go to the
Well, come on, it's an all-inclusive.
When you go, grab some of that sun, drop it off in Michigan on your way back to Wisconsin, please and thank you. We appreciate
you
that.
need it as much as I do.
Yes, exactly. Well, good. That tells us a little bit about you. Things that you have going on. I always like to take that time to separate the person from profession to start off, because we are all humans and people outside of our profession. So moving forward into your profession, I want you to talk about it. Describe your real estate business for me and our audience, if you can. If you are able to hit on a few keynotes, how long you've been licensed, what you consider your specialty or niche, and or any notable achievements, please.
Thank you. So I actually owned a spa and salon here in Madison for the first 20 years of my life. And in 2014, I decided to sell that business. It had been a long career, and honestly, I kind of thought I was going to retire. And after passing the torch to the new owners, I took a year off. We traveled, we had a blast. And I realized I'm 40 years old. There's probably more to my life than this. And I ended up taking a portion of the money I had made from selling my business, and I invested it in real estate. We did a group deal of 100 apartments, and that was really kind of my first taste of investments. Very quickly after that, the broker had asked if we would be interested in buying another 100 units. And one of my partners had asked if I would consider doing some property management. So I put on a brand new hat of real estate, and in order to write leases and, showcase the property, I had to have my real estate license. So I did get that. And it's actually October last month was 8 years. So it's been a while, but it still feels fresh and new to me. And that's kind of how I started. I started signing leases and showing apartments and doing property management. And at the end of that first year, I recognized that when my tenants were leaving, they were leaving to buy a house, right? A first-time home buyer. And I'm like, you know what? I should be helping them. Like, I already have this relationship with them as their landlord. I should be helping them find a house, and I should be able to get paid for doing that service. And so I did end up partnering with EXP brokerage, which I'm sure you're familiar with. And I joined a team, and I hit the ground running. And pretty quickly, I recognized that that was my jam. I love real estate. I love the challenges. I love the find or create a solution. I
Mm,
love that every day is different, right? I wake up, I have no idea what's about to happen sometimes. Even though I try to
yeah,
be prepared, you
absolutely.
just don't ever
Hmm.
know what curveballs are going to get thrown your way. And I'm happy to say that in the last 8 years, I've sold over 500 houses. So um, it's
Mm,
it's a it's a
good
big
job.
hustle going on over here. In that period of time, I was um, top agent in 2019 and 2020 for our brokerage. I did win the Athena Award, which was pretty awesome. And I got the
Congratulations.
Professional Women of the Year in 2018. So,
Ooh.
very proud to represent the female
Mm.
professionals here and also just be able to take good care of my clients.
I love everything that you just said. It just you.
You
Well,
say
for
that to
one,
all the girls, Kevin.
well, for one, I watched your interview that you did earlier this year with your partner Gordon, and I saw, I heard your story about you selling your business on Craigslist and everything, but I love it's so empowering. Like you starting a business, a spa business, and selling it at such an early age, and taking a year off to pretty much explore the world, do what you want. I feel like that's the American dream. And then
Yeah.
you go from that to saying, let me pivot. Let me start something completely. A lot of people are scared to start over, but you
Hmm.
started over. Investing in 100 apartments is crazy to me to start
Hmm.
off. That is wild. But that just goes to show you were ready for it. You took on the challenge and you hit the ground running. 500 homes in
Hmm.
8 years. Oh my
Hmm.
goodness. We got to applaud you for your success. I just want to speak on that. So it
Well,
seems
I,
like,
I
oh,
also
go
think
ahead.
it's important to note that it's not just me, right? It's about having a
Okay.
team. It's about
Mm-hmm.
having, following and being honoring and learning from other people that maybe are doing things that you want to be doing. I've always worked to be really coachable. I always work to align myself with somebody that is doing what I want to do better than me and
Mm,
learn from them, grow from them, and hustle for them.
yep.
And at the end of the day, that works out pretty awesome. So I wish I could take all the credit for being all the amazing things, but it does take a small village to make magic happen.
Hey, at the end of the day, you're playing your role on your team regardless. So, you're entitled to your success. But great job. Everything that you said is pretty much the recipe for success, and you are proof of that so far. So I just love to hear that. I love to hear that. So let's talk about what's going on in your market specifically. I don't think I've ever been to Madison, but I want to explore it. You say you basically grew up there. Let's talk about it. I want you to describe your market in as much detail as possible. For someone like me who may have never been there, I want you to kind of talk about, what you would consider the culture, the weather there, landmarks, attraction, things that your market is known for. Please, the floor is yours.
Okay. Well, thank you for asking. I actually love living here. I think Madison is one of the best cities in the nation. I have traveled
Mm-hmm.
all over the place. I feel like we're kind of like a little mini San Francisco. That's the best
Mm,
way that I can describe it. Okay. We're close to the
interesting.
water. We have a chain of lakes. Um, we have a lot of different culture.
Mm-hmm.
We have a wide variety of diversity. We have a ton of restaurants and food. We have the university is here, so that brings in a whole different phenomenon. We're the capital,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a pretty diverse opportunity for arts, for culture, for outdoor activity, for biking, for boating, for eating, for all things that are pretty impressive for the Midwest. And also only, 500,000 people here. So it's still small. The
Mm.
average home price here is just a little over 400,000. So it's still really affordable to live here. I
Yeah.
sold a lot of homes during COVID to people that were, out in the tech space that realized they could work from home and they could sell their,
Yes.
$2 million home on, in California or New York, and they could come settle in Madison, which offers a lot of the same things, but
Yes.
they could basically be financially free because they could sell their big home and buy something here that's bigger, better, safer, nicer.
cheaper.
and really be able to settle in and have a family or build some relationships and still get paid the awesome wages that they were making from being on the
Hmm.
coast.
I
So
have heard.
that's
Oh,
awesome.
please, yep. Yeah, I've heard that same story from agents in different markets. The Raleigh, North Carolinas, the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvanias, of it being like one of the under the radar cities, a growing city, but it's still the cost of living a lot less than some of the other bigger metro, cities. And since the pandemic, a lot of people have taken advantage of that, moving to these markets where, a lot of people usually wouldn't go to, but taking advantage of the home prices, taking advantage of, the market in general. And it's interesting to hear that even in Madison, Wisconsin, it's pretty much everywhere. So I feel like I can compare Madison to a few other cities, but from a lot of the ways that you described it, I definitely see the uniqueness in Madison. I definitely would like to make a visit up there. Thank you for sharing that and describing it for us. It seems essentially like, even with the weather, it's definitely a Midwest type area. Midwest area is in the Midwest, obviously, but I see the similarities between where I am in Michigan and Madison, Wisconsin. But I just wanted to state that, and thank you for explaining that. Now let's talk about the economics, data, statistics, anything that you have that you can share with us in regards to that information economically in your market, average price points, days on the market, and talk about the list to sale price and how all of that has changed, at least from the beginning of the year to now.
Well, it hasn't changed too much, to be
Okay.
honest. And it's ever changing. Like if you listen to this next week, it might be different than it is today. And if you looked at the statistics from last month, so it does change a little bit.
Right,
I
right.
was just I was hosting a meeting at our real estate investment association last week, and when I relooked at numbers today, they were a little bit different. So it's constantly changing, but it is pretty stable. I would like to just make note that even in 2008, when the
Mhm.
whole rest of the real estate world was crumbling, the Dane County market only went down about 10%. So it's pretty
Interesting.
stable here. It's also growing so much. Have you heard of Epic Systems?
I have not.
So Epic is basically a nationwide healthcare online platform, and
Hmm.
it is locally owned. It's the first like woman billionaire from Madison, Wisconsin, and she basically created the system for all of the hospitals, kind of worldwide, to have their safe data and everything. And I don't know it inside and out, so I'm talking very
Right.
high level here. But
Hmm.
having Epic Systems here in Madison has been pretty incredible for us. Just they alone have projected that they're going to be hiring thousands of people over the next couple of years. And so
Nice.
there's consistent people moving here. So even though this year was projected to be a crash and a down market and no one's buying and interest rates are higher and blah, 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 we have not really seen much of a change. My list price to sale price ratio um, has gone up actually 1%. So we're at about
Mm.
103.5% from list price to sale price.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Our days on the market have been ranging anywhere this year between 6 and 16.
Okay.
Okay.
That's actually still relatively fast compared to other markets that I'm still hearing of now. Yeah.
That's my point, is it hasn't
Yeah.
changed very much,
Yeah.
right? I think last year my average days on the market were 7.
Hmm.
So the
Yeah.
fact that we're still right in that,
Hmm.
it hasn't changed a whole lot.
That's
Um,
incredible.
Now we are moving into normally between Thanksgiving and Christmas, they will go
Hmm.
up a little bit, but it shows that historically the last couple of years they've only gone up to like 20. So it's not
Okay.
like we're going into these, 75, 90-day things where it's
Right.
becoming
Right.
more of a buyer's market. We are still very much a seller's market. Our inventory, we only have about 1.3 months of inventory.
Mm.
So that's part of the reason why, people are still, we're getting competitive offers. They're still wanting to close quick. I've seen more cash in the market this year than I have ever seen.
Of
And
course.
and
Yep.
so I think that has, really proof that people are still needing to move here. They're still getting divorced. They're still passing away. They're still having
Hmm.
babies. Life is still moving forward. It just might be a few less people listing their house because they're locked in
Right.
at such a low interest rate. They don't have to move, but sometimes people still need to.
Great point. Great point. So many different things to speak on. First of all, you basically spoke on why you're probably seeing a lot of cash offers. You're getting people from California, New York, Texas, Florida, whatever the case may be, where the prices are crazy high. They sell that home, come to a market where they can buy it for a fraction of what they were paying at their old market, and it's all cash.
Right.
It's all cash, and they can still make the money that they were making in their initial home, their town or market, I should say. So I just want to say out loud real quick. I just want to say out loud, and I want you to give me your thoughts on this. Listening to you and other agents in other markets, I believe the shift is essentially going to be from these larger metro areas to like the mid to even smaller markets becoming a lot more populated. Mainly because obviously in the bigger markets, housing prices are going up, cost of living is going up. It's pricing a lot of people out of it. And they are finding these markets like Madison, where they feel like it's a lot more affordable, even though the prices have gone up. But you say it's been kind of steady, but in a lot of places, the price is still going up, but Madison is still affordable. And we're having the issue with low inventory across the nation. So you really have to find those markets that, are under the radar or, still have great potential and even have the land for new construction. So I'm thinking it's going to be a shift from these larger metro cities being highly populated to these smaller or medium markets being more populated. What say you? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Okay.
I do see that happening here. I see people are
Mm-hmm.
like, "Oh, I want to be right in town," and then they slowly go to the outskirts, to the surrounding
Exactly.
communities because
Yes.
there's more opportunity, there's more space.
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing less of a gap, even in like physical gap, right? Where it used to be that you would drive from one town to the other and you'd see some cornfield. Now it's less.
Yeah.
It's just like getting more and more
That's
congested.
crazy. Yeah.
Um, I I think though that our one saving grace and the reason why not the whole wide world is going to move here is it's freaking cold.
Yeah, it's an acquired taste, I must say. Growing up in Michigan myself, yes, we basically like twin states. I get it. You will be tested. You will be
Mm-hmm.
tested with these winters. It'll tell you if you really want to be here.
Agreed.
That's a fact. That's a fact. Thanks for pointing that out. I want to talk about these apartments, right? Managing apartments and having tenants find their first homes is a unique aspect of your real estate journey. But could you narrate a memorable experience where you assisted a tenant from transitioning from renting to actually becoming a proud homeowner? And can you talk about the process and how it was rewarding for you and your client?
Yeah, I've got a fun story. So
Please.
I met Otto. He and his family had moved here from Venezuela,
Mm-hmm.
and they came to me at our apartment property looking for a place to live. Now, they moved here from Venezuela. They don't have credit. They
Mm-hmm.
don't have even basically a checking account here. He needed a place to go. Now, he was a professor in Venezuela, so an educated man, but you come here, you don't have those things. You don't have credit. You don't have a credit card. You basically can get a gas card at a mobile station, and you have to start building. And you're already 40 years old, so you're starting fresh. But he wanted to build his own American dream. I took a chance on him without any really background information, and I gave him and his wife and his child one of our apartments. We
Mm.
did a double security deposit, and we did a 6-month lease, and I was like, I'm going to take a risk on you and let's see how it goes. And he met all of our criteria, but you just can't really do a background check, so you're unsure. Well, it
Right.
turned out to be a magical relationship, and after 1 year he had built some credit. He did all of the things I had encouraged him to do, and he came to me and was like, I'm so proud, Lori. I'm pre-approved. I want to buy my first house. So I got the pleasure
Nice.
of taking him and his family out looking at property. We wrote some offers, we learned some lessons. And my favorite story about Otto, we were standing in the basement after he got an accepted offer, and he said, "Excuse me, Miss Lori, I have one question. Who is Ernest, and why does he get my money?"
That's hilarious. That's
Oh my
hilarious.
gosh. And that story sticks with me forever, but it's such a learning curve, right?
Yeah,
And
no, that's a fact.
so we navigated and helped him, and he got an, was able to close. Now, fast forward a year and a half later, he called me and said they really were enjoying their condo and he had saved some more money and they were ready to buy their first investment property. So
There you go.
now we go from apartment life to single family ownership to being a house hacker, right? He wanted to buy
Hmm.
his own first duplex and live in one side. He wanted to rent out the condo that he had and then rent out the other side. So now he's going to have 3 units and he's been in the US for less than 3 years. It was
Mm.
just so incredible and just a tribute to being willing to take a chance on people, coaching them to do the right thing, and helping them build their own American dream. And now we're in talks about maybe buying another property. So I'm so proud of Otto, and I love being a part of the
Nice.
journey. It's just so rewarding.
Man, that was a great. That's the definition of the American dream right there. Coming here, coming to this land, basically starting from scratch.
Yep.
Starting from scratch at what you say, like 40 years old, like you start from scratch. And like we talked about earlier, some people are scared to do that. But I don't think there's anything wrong with it as long as you have a plan and you stick to the plan. But that's great. First of all, we are advocates of house hacking here at the closing table. I
Yeah.
love the idea. Multifamily, stand one end, rent out the other, mortgage is paid. Mwah, mwah, mwah. I love it. So I love that you even brought that up because we always like to, advocate and praise house hacking here. So great
Yep.
story, by the way. Great story. I'm glad you're a part of it. So that just goes into helping first-time homeowners and having them go into different modes of their life. You mentioned your passion for helping these first-time homeowners as well as these luxury homeowners. I see you have a track record of that also. So can you tell a story that illustrates how you catered to the diverse needs of the first-time home buyers and the luxury buyers? And can you just talk about how you personalize your approach for these two different clients, please?
Well, like I said in the beginning, to me, real estate is all about finding or creating a way, being
Hmm.
solution oriented, thinking outside the box.
Hmm.
I do believe that I treat everyone the same. I work at Sprinkman Real Estate. They are a boutique firm. They are known for their higher end luxury transactions. In fact, our
Mm.
Sprinkman's average sale price is $670,000. And if you remember, I
Whew.
just told you the average home price in Madison is 420,
Like
right?
four, yeah,
Well, that
exactly.
is quite a difference. I
Yeah.
just listed a house a couple of months ago that was $350,000, and they were repeat friends of mine, clients. Of course, I was happy to help them. I'm not going to turn down a sale just because it isn't $1 million. But
Hmm.
they said to me, "Why would you work with us? You only work with luxury." And I said, "That is not true. I work with people that I like. I work with people that want to work with me, and I work with people that have a plan and a goal in mind. And it's also not about the one transaction; it's about the next one. Um,
Yes.
Part of the whole luxury experience for me is my transition. I suppose I started in an apartment. My husband and I have been house hacking ourselves. We have moved 7 times in the last 14 years. And we
Whew.
have been buying a property, living in it for a year, buy the next property, live in it for the year. And everyone was always like, "You
Mm.
make enough money. Why don't you buy something fancy? Why don't you do something?" And I was like, "I'm going to do now what you won't do so I can do
Come on.
later what you can't do." Right.
Talk.
And
Come on. I love that.
now I do have and I'm looking out actually on the lake. I do have the opportunity to live, you know, in a fantastic home,
Uh-huh.
right on the water. This is what a lot of people's dream is. And I love working with my neighbors and helping them transition to their next piece. I love helping people get here and buy their first home on the lake and the education that goes along with it. And I think that really the secret sauce to my success is just being creative, thinking outside the box, whether it's, you know, marketing somewhere different, doing
Mhm.
a sushi and champagne open house on the lake, and then doing a demolition party for a teardown rehab. And everything in between, just being creative, having fun along the way is super important, and really
Yeah.
building those relationships so that those same people come back to you over and over again.
Nice, nice. That was, listen, first and foremost, you are talking that big boss talk, and I like it here at the closing table. See, because that is literally what you're supposed. It's a sacrifice to a certain point, but it's really not. I feel like from your perspective, it's not really much of a sacrifice because it's part of your plan. Now I guess you can see it as a sacrifice because you want the big, the lake house and everything like that, but you're working towards that, and by the end of it, I'm sure your investment properties are going to pay for that lake house. That's
Oh, they
how it
do.
works. So
Hmm.
I love that. I'm so glad that you are continuously advocating for that house hacking part too. But your story continues to like talk about the right way. There's, I'll say I would say my favorite way of investing in real estate. That's what I'll
Right.
say. Not necessarily the
That's a
right
good
way,
way
but
to
my
put it.
favorite way.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you. Yes. Great. Great. Well said. So challenges throughout your career. You said you like the facing different things. Every day is different. Let me tell you, some of the things I've heard that happen in real estate, the hiccups, the hurdles they have to overcome, I don't see how they would get past them. But I'm not built for that. That's why you're the professional. Can you talk about one of your most challenging obstacles you had to face in your career and talk about how you overcame it?
Oh man, you sell 500 houses. You have had a lot of challenges and obstacles. Um,
Yeah.
I think I'm just going to talk about one that happened recently. The family that I've been working with, I think they're honestly scared to move. I think they're a little bit scared. And whenever you have fear based thinking, you make
Yeah.
emotional decisions, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I have to a lot of times become the therapist. I have to, get them back to their why. And they called me. This just recently happened here, and they called me a couple weeks ago. And we've got an accepted offer. We have a cash deal. We're, closing bonkers amounts over asking price. No more contingencies, and they they need a little bit of time here left before they're going to be closing on their house where they're moving to. And they said, we need to cancel this whole transaction. We can't find a place to stay. We can't find an Airbnb. It's Christmas. This is a bad idea. We're not doing it. We need to back out, cancel this deal. I don't know. I don't care if we get sued. We're not selling.
Whoa. Whoa.
And the old me 5, 6 years ago would have been extremely intimidated and uncomfortable with that conversation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the new me said, well, we're not doing that. And here's what we are going to do. Remember, you do need to sell your house. You are buying a new house in a couple of weeks. I understand that it's Christmas, but there is solutions. And I said, here's what we're going to do. I will let you come and stay with us. Okay? You and your husband and your 2 dogs, you can come stay with us. We will put you up for a few days so that you have a comfortable place to stay, because we still need to close on your house. We have no reason to get out of it. I'm not allowing you to get into a lawsuit over you just not being able to find a place to rest your head.
Whoa.
Lori, what do you think happened?
I will hope the best case scenario, they moved in with you and found a place and everything worked out, maybe?
Oh yeah, they don't need to move in with me. Of course they found another place that they need.
Even better.
Right?
Yeah.
I think they were just backpedaling out of fear. And when they were given like a non-negotiable opportunity, right? Like, you've got a place to go, you don't even have any more excuses. Everything magically fell into place.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's kind of good news, because I don't know that my husband will want my crazy sellers moving in with me. But that being said, it is just about, being passionate and compassionate and problem solving, and just helping people remember their why and get to their goals. Because sometimes people just need a listening ear, and they need someone else to troubleshoot and figure it out with them.
Yeah, your compassion runneth over with that offer, though. Inviting them to the home is a whole nother level. Like, wow. But that just shows, like, how invested you were in them. And it has, I'm sure it has nothing to do with the transaction or the money or anything like that. Like
Right.
you said, you wanted them to avoid the litigation and going through the court and all of that. Why even do that? It's not even necessary, honestly. So I love that you put that offer out there, but just imagine if you actually had to like invite them into the home and the conversation you have to have with your husband. And
Maybe we should
that
edit
would be a
this
little
out.
weird.
I might get some more phone calls.
I love it. I love it. Lori, you are a character. I love that. But yeah, I love that. I feel like people need to hear that story that you from what you did, because it speaks to your character. It speaks, and not everybody's offering that. Not people don't even want to do that. Some people probably would have said, "Okay, it's your decision. And you want to get sued, then that's up to you." So, kudos to you, and high praises for offering that. But it worked out in the end for your sellers. So,
Yeah,
love
thank you.
that. Love that. You have a passion for helping clients achieve their real estate goals through specifically investment properties. Can you describe a time where you helped the client go from, like you said, purchasing a residential to an investment property, other than the initial one that you talked about? And can you talk about some other key things that you had to teach them to prepare for this investment property?
Yeah. Well, we talked about auto. I
Mm-hmm.
did actually just get the pleasure of helping one of my clients. I had showed them some land. They built a house a while back. I didn't even know that they would be considering investments, but I do, I work to keep people educated. I tell them about what I'm doing. I encourage them with books, and I always invite people to our real estate investment association. And I just let people know that I'm available here if they ever want to pursue that as an opportunity. This gentleman's a doctor, and he realized that, the stock market and the traditional investing ways are not always the best way. And he
Mm.
wanted to diversify. And he was like, can you help me figure out buying a multifamily? So I said, sure. We talked about it. We had one conversation, and I said, let's go look. There's a new listing that just came out. And I said, this is a really good one. I hardly ever see anything that's really good anymore, right? Everything is overpriced, inflated,
Mm-hmm.
based on like future rents and what could be, but not what is. And we found this 4 unit, and I begged him to come for a showing with me because I knew it was going to go under contract right away. And he came, and we went, and I had to really talk him into writing an offer because it was only his first property he's ever seen. He's never seen a 4 unit before, right? And this is a big step. But I promised him I would coach him along the way. We got an accepted offer, and I'm so proud of him. I have hooked him up with a property management company. I've, hooked him up with an attorney to get him set up with an LLC. I've hooked him up with the bank. I got him set up with insurance. Like I just gave him
Ooh.
all of my partners and all of
Mm-hmm.
the tools that I've used to be successful so that I could set him up for success. And I got an email from him, and it was like, thank you so much, XOXO. Like he's a doctor, physician. They don't talk like that, but like he's so grateful and passionate to be able to get started on his real estate journey. And that just makes my heart sing. And my guess is that he's going to tell all of his coworkers. And
Yes,
this
there
is
you
only the
go.
beginning.
Like you said, it's not about this transaction, it's about the next transaction. So as long as you're taking care of this current one, the next one could come based off of a word of mouth referral from your previous transaction. So
Yep.
I love to hear that too. Random thing that I just thought of, right? And we actually talked about this earlier off mic. Adverse possession, aka squatter rights. It's basically a situation, and laws are different in different states, different municipalities, but it's basically a situation where someone could come into a property that is vacant at the time, and they could assume ownership after so long of taking care of it, receiving mail, and things of that nature. Now, I've heard a few agents describe this actually happening in their market. Do you have any experience with clients going through adverse possession or squatters' rights with their property, or any stories whatsoever? Any experience with that as an agent?
Well, ironically, and it was more so Gordon. So you know Gordon, I think, right?
Mm-hmm,
Do you know
mm-hmm.
him personally? So
Not
we actually
personally.
we've decided to split ways. We're not partners anymore in
Okay.
business. He is just specifically going and working on the multifamily and syndicated deals and doing some more investing properties and stuff like that. And I'm
Gotcha.
sticking with the residential. But that
Mhm.
split just recently happened here, just in September. And so prior to that, he and I had helped a buyer acquire a multifamily, a 2 unit. And it was difficult to get the tenants out, and it was total gut job. Um,
Mm.
he
Mm.
ended up focusing on a different property for a little while, but in the meantime, these people moved in and started squatting. And so by the time he circled back to get it ready to start rehabbing it, there's people living there.
Yeah.
And they don't have a lease. Um, there was no running water. It was disgusting, if you can only imagine,
What?
right? Because we had winterized it, like it was not being lived in. It wasn't supposed to be lived in, but people will do whatever it takes to, make life happen for them. It was a doozy between the city and the police, and we learned a
Mm.
whole lot, right? It's one thing to have a lease in place and have to go through an eviction. It's another
Right.
thing to have someone come that isn't welcome. And then also, as it starts getting colder out and like all the rules for heat and putting people on the street and everything, it's uh
True.
it's challenging.
True. Yeah.
But I think in the end, we've all recognized the fact that when you follow the system and you follow the plan, file all the correct paperwork, um, you will be taken care of if you're doing the right thing. But
Yeah.
it did result in tens of thousands of dollars of damage because those people were there, and that unfortunately is not something that the owner will ever get back.
Oh, so he just had to take that loss. Oh,
Yeah.
oh, I hate to
So
hear that.
it's
Mm.
it's actually back on the market if you're interested in a rehab.
Yeah, I feel so bad for him. See, and I want to bring this up, right? Like I said, we mentioned this earlier off camera, and we were talking about it briefly. But I was like, I want to speak about this because this is a subject we haven't necessarily talked about on the closing table. It's a little bit different from the traditional real estate transaction, but nonetheless, it's still a factor in real estate, and it happens. And you get when you're on the other side of it as an owner, and then you go into a position where you have to kick somebody out, whether it's an eviction or the squad. It's a more of a complicated, complex situation that I think most people even realize. Like you can't just kick someone out of your house in most cases, especially even during the winter. Like there's situations and laws into place where they have to stay in certain places at least through the winter. So uh, I hate to hear that, but it's a lesson. It's a lesson learned. Like you said, I'm sure you learned a lot as well as the owner. But yeah, I'm glad you spoke on that because it's something that's real. And as an owner, I think it's very, very important. If you have investment properties or whatever, check on your properties,
Right.
manage them
Right.
frequently, so that
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 does
is
not
the
happen.
biggest takeaway. Secure your
Correct.
property no matter what condition it is. Even
Mm-hmm.
though you think no one's going to come, you just don't know, right? Front
Mm-hmm.
doors, back doors, garage doors, windows, everything should be secure if you're not there. And also come and visit your property, right? If take ownership, make sure that you know what's going on there, make sure there isn't a leak, make sure there isn't someone hasn't broken in, make sure there isn't rodents. Like you might have an
Mm-hmm.
intruder that has a mask and is called a raccoon, and they can do just as much damage as a human can. And if you weren't there, if you weren't looking at your property or having someone else check in, you can be really blindsided by what is to come.
Oh yes. Oh yes. That's why I'm so happy we brought that up. Thank you so much, Lori, for sharing that information, for pulling up a chair to the closing table. We appreciate it so much. At this point, if you have any last words and or want to tell people how to reach out to you, the floor is yours.
Well, thanks, Kevin. It's been a pleasure. You're awesome. And I'm honored to have received the call to join you today. So thank you for the invitation. And it's good to get to know you a little bit better.
Thank you.
I'm Lori Schilling at Sprinkman Real Estate. If you want to come to town or visit or stay for a night, you can reach out to me at 608 279 4313. Again, 608 279 4313. Make it a
There
great
it
day.
is. Thank you so much, Lori. We appreciate you again. And for our YouTube audience watching right now, I'm talking to you, YouTube. If you got to this point, do us both a favor and hit that like button, please. And thank you. Make sure you also share the content and subscribe to our channel. And if you are listening on Apple, Spotify, or any other podcast platform, please do the same. Give us a like, give us a 5-star rating, and subscribe for our latest content. So, Lori, on our way out, I'd like to leave our audience with a question just to get their brains turning. So this is for you, audience. What data do you use to evaluate potential investment properties prior to purchasing? Don't tell us now. Leave it in the comments below. We want to see it. Other than that, we'll talk to you next time.